Hi, everyone. We're running a little bit behind. We're waiting on our chair, Director Lofton. So,
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
hi, Billy.
There's going to be two Sophies because I sent the invite to Billy. I just realized.
Well, he can change it if he wants, I guess.
The world could use another Sophie.
Yeah.
But I am a sorry impersonator. I could not match Sophie in terms of quality
Oh,
of
come on, you
presentation.
guys.
He's one of a kind.
And then we'll grab a jacket since we're not starting yet.
Okay.
Together, work time. I think we're looking to, and then it's something that's, as long as, you know, we just add out right behind, we just gonna. It's all virtual. Yeah, that's not doable. No, my calendar is up to date only, so, yeah, you can always check it out. And then be good to go. Get started.
Good. Someone's here for this meeting too?
Yes, hello,
Hi.
how are you?
Good. Well, let's call to order meeting of the Desert Healthcare District Finance, Legal, Administrative and Real Estate Committee meeting on April 14th at 3 p.m. Have an approval of the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting minutes from last month are available for review. Are there any board member comments on those meeting minutes?
No comments. I'll move approval.
Second. Any public comments?
No public comment.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public comments. At this time, comments from the audience may be made on items not listed on the agenda that are of public interest and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the district. The committee has a policy of limiting speakers to not more than 3 minutes. The committee cannot take action on items not listed on the agenda. Public input may be offered on an agenda item when it comes up for discussion and our actions. No comments.
I don't believe so. No public comment.
See a very light CEO report.
I do have one verbal item. We have been working on the Healthy You budget, which we brought the board and approved last month. Components of that budget, one is related to the hotel that we're going to be using, and the budget that we had was 69,000. But as we negotiated the budget with the Omni Hotel, it's a little bit more. It's about 2,000 more than what we had in our budget. We will be bringing that contract to the board meeting this month. We didn't have it available to be able to get on this agenda, so we'd like to bring it to the April board meeting just for sake of time.
No.
CEO report.
Thank you. So I'm starting on page 9 of the packet. Just noting a couple projects here at the Medical Plaza. So roof sealant replacements, we've completed that on 3 of the 6 buildings, which we brought in prior meetings. Currently working on the 4th roof. Just trying to make sure that we're getting those sealed up before we get more rain, for the potential for rain, to avoid any leaks, internal leaks. So what we will do had been a little bit longer than the 5-year recommendation on that to reseal. So we'll have that on the schedule now for going forward every 5 years to ensure that we don't run into those potential issues with cracks. Also been redoing a couple of the raised planter boxes, which we repaired, recoated, and then adding new drains in there just to address the degrading of the bricks that were in there over time, as well as just water being present. So redoing that and coating them more with stucco so they look better than just I like the look of the regular brick, but it does start to degrade over time with the water. So it's coated now. So we're finishing up one of those. And then there will be a breaker panel in one of the building west suites that will need to be replaced. We're looking at an approximate expense of 18,000 for that. We had some various points where water had come in and started rusting part of the box. And so I'll be proactive on that, make sure that we're getting that done. Permits are currently being secured from the city. And then once we can get that, then they can start moving forward. So also want to note, we conducted our 2025 calendar year annual common area maintenance reconciliation. So what we found for the year, the actual cost per square foot was 90 cents per square foot per month. So we've been charging tenants a rate of 86 cents per square feet. We've been doing that the last several years. So we have sent out those excess invoices for the difference. We will utilize that 86 cent rate for this coming year, but when it comes to the 2026 reconciliation, we'll do an early 27. We are going to look at increasing that. What we've had last year, or the prior year, 2024 was at 91 cents. This most recent one was at 90 cents. And so since we are seeing that a little bit higher, we will, if it's still coming in around there, we'll raise the rate to avoid having to bill the excess. And as a note, just as a reminder on that, if we ever came in under, then we'd issue credits. So we do have that listed in everybody's lease. It's been completed now. So in the financials a little bit later, if you see our AR reports a little bit longer than normal, that just has to do with having sent out those invoices to all the tenants. And so we've since collected on several of them, but it's still working on getting those taken care of. Still 100% occupied, so that's always good. And then just make a note that started working on the FY 26-27 annual budget. So we're putting that together and then anticipated to have that presented in May. That is all I have on my CIO report, unless there's any questions.
Okay. Making a motion to approve the financial reports.
Oh,
You want to keep
we're
going?
just,
You want to take the whole thing together?
I want to find out if you could just summarize it, the financials, anything.
Sure. Yeah, the CIO is just information.
That's
For going on to the financials. Some of the key points here. I'm looking at page 14. So what we've got, income right now is up approximately 3.6 million. The primary driver of this, we did close the sale for the Park Imperial Community Association land lease. So that was 2.6 million. I do have an informational item later on in the agenda for that. We also have investment performance up about 500,000 year to date. Property taxes up 441,000, and the LPMP income is up about 116,000. Our expenses before grants are under budget about 1.1 million. Similar drivers as we've been mentioning the last couple of months, professional fees and direct expenses. And then I did want to note that while the grants expense does show over budget 2.2 million, that's based on the year-to-date budget numbers. Overall, the grants line is over budget by 68,000, which we had noted at the end of last month's meeting when we approved all the grants, which included Intercare, some of the other ones. So because the budget number just shows 9 months worth of the budget versus the whole 12 months, that's why there's that discrepancy there. Next one I was going to note on page 18.
Excuse me, what page is that? I don't have the entire packet open on the individual financials, if you know.
Let's finish that one.
So now I always draw the full PDF. So this is the profit and loss, the district, sorry, page 18. It's going to be the last column, profit and loss stuff. Be just after that. Should be the next page, I believe. Yep.
Thank you.
So on here, this is going to be for the, just lost my place here, Medical Plaza. So overall expenses are down about 20,000. It is a mix of over and under budget categories. Primary over budget categories have been roof repairs, interior plumbing, and deferred maintenance. So these expenses have been related to addressing issues, which we've been noting on the CIO reports the last couple months, and kind of proactively address related items such as the roof expense we were talking about and the plumbing. Let's see, page 25, 1, 2. Go forward about 7 pages to our AR report. Oh, that one right there. We're just going to note this being longer than normal, primarily due to those 2025 excess CAM fee invoices that we sent out towards the middle to late March. So should be much smaller next month, but just wanted to note that since it differs from normal. That was my main points I wanted to know, and then I can answer any questions. you may have.
I have no questions, but I've seen these already.
There was a couple of things I noted, doing it yesterday, trying to find them, sorry. I put my notes to myself. They were minor things, so I don't think it's anything to keep you.
Okay.
moving forward. Thank you.
Any,
I'll mention it to you afterwards. They were very minor,
great,
Thank you.
I have a motion to approve these finances.
So
Public comment,
No public comment.
all in favor?
I,
So on to other matters, we have some informational items. First four are pretty informational. This one's Hart, who I think is here today to talk a little bit.
Yeah,
Hi, how are you?
hi, and I know this meeting technically ends in 6 minutes, so let me know.
Got till
No, we,
30, you have time.
We have till between 4.
We just scheduled it, we have about an hour.
Okay, great.
But we
Then-
can keep it around 10 or.
Okay. I
We
don't
can
want
do it in 5 minutes, that'd be great.
Yeah.
to. All right, so thank you all for the opportunity to be here and to submit the memo that we put in your packet. Obviously, we could talk for pages and pages, so I attempted to be brief, but from the presentation that Samhain gave at the last few meetings that I've had the privilege to attend, and from seeing your community engagement report and the pillars, I think that there is a wonderful opportunity for HARC to really help with Pillar 4. I was just reading the community engagement report, and it's talking about how community organizations need support to build data capacity. That is exactly what we do. We can absolutely help with many of these things that you have on your plan until you get your own internal new staff up and running. And I think it would be a mutually beneficial way to help keep HARC in operations and to be consistent with your new strategic plan and your strategic direction. So I don't want to presume that you didn't read the memo and read it out to you, but I'm happy to discuss any.
Gonna highlight some of it real quick.
Sure. Yeah. So we would like to do a consulting services agreement similar to what you recently approved with RAP that includes, or not RAP, NPO Centric, that functions as an independent contractor relationship. We can help with internal data literacy, external data literacy for your grantees. We can help develop that shared outcomes and impact measurement framework that was mentioned at the last meeting I was at. Survey design, data collection, and data analysis is our bread and butter, so we can absolutely help with that as much or as little as you need. Dashboards, I know that your community engagement report talked about data sharing. That is a very touchy subject between organizations. I'm working on that right now with a different project, trying to convince people to share their data, which is for the greater good, but people can be sensitive about it. We also can assist you with your hiring for your new staff. I helped First 5 Riverside hire their director of research, for example, and with school medicine as well. And the funds that we earn from these revenues will help us keep our doors open. I think this is relevant because, again, as I've mentioned in public comment several times, our Coachella Valley Community Health Survey, which was started under the umbrella of Desert Healthcare District and Foundation, is an invaluable asset to our community, and one that will allow us to look backwards and forwards that most communities do not have. We also do this kind of work for many of your grantees, many of the others who work here in our community. So we are very well connected, very familiar with what's going on. This is not something new. We are a longstanding partner of Desert Healthcare District and Foundation. Aside from being formed under the foundation, we've also, we did the community health needs assessment a few years back and the community health improvement plan. We have an awesome team that's very diverse. You'll see that we have extensive experience in quantitative analyses, including the basic multivariate statistics, multi-level modeling, but also psychometrics, bibliometrics, machine learning, the whole 9 yards. We also have some qualitative. I know you're interested in having both qualitative and quantitative combined in your data, and mixed methods are, again, our bread and butter. We have been struggling financially, as I've shared at the last few meetings. Many of these projects have been delayed, and we find ourselves in a tough situation. And having Desert Healthcare District as a client would help us to maintain our organization and to keep the local data that we have available, and to keep the technical assistance and the services that we have provided to many of the agencies here in Desert Healthcare District alive.
Appreciate that. That was a very nice kind of overview of the letter.
So, Jenna, I know that we've had some conversations about your situation and what led to this.
Yes.
You think it's going to be temporary only?
I sure hope so. We have many projects. We've continued to respond to RFPs, to seek out our repeat clients, and to apply for new grants. The one that I have the most confidence in is one that we are submitting next week, which is why I will be leaving after this meeting to finish my budget, for the California Initiative to Advance Precision Medicine. That is a grant with UC Riverside that has you have to have a academic PI and a community PI. We are the community principal investigator. So that will be, if we receive it, about $1 million for HARC over 2.5 years, starting this summer. Initially, there were 90 applicants to this RFP. We are now on the 3rd round and are one of only 15 that have been invited to submit a full proposal. Our reviewers gave very minimal positive feedback. So I think it's a really strong chance that this will be funded. And starting in July, we would have a substantial cash flow, as well as our smaller projects, which are numerous. Many of our smaller projects, for instance, we have about 200,000 in pending projects we've submitted to True Evolution. However, like us, they have experienced some real funding setbacks and funders putting things on hold. Ryan White funding has been cut. They have a large ask into the California endowment. And if that gets funded, which should be in about 2 months, then we can move forward with that $200,000 2 projects. So there's a lot up in the air that I feel very positively about. That being said, they're not guarantees, but we're going to keep trying as much as we can.
Another question.
Yes.
So as we started, as I started hearing the rumors and not even directly from you making the announcement, but there was several things that I thought about, and I thought one of them is a grant or a contractual agreement. The other one is, like you said earlier, is the HARC was born from the healthcare district. That has been presented as an idea as well. Is there a preference to stay as your own 501c3?
I would say yes, for several reasons. For one, we do work outside of Desert Healthcare District's boundaries that we would then not be able to do. For instance, we're the evaluator for many of the starting over initiatives, which they do wonderfully, and it's very fun to evaluate, but those are not within the district boundaries. So I would hate to leave those clients in the lurch. The other piece is whenever I give lectures on evaluation, right, there's two types, internal and external, and both have pros and cons, absolutely. But what it comes down to is there's a perception that external evaluation of grant making activities is more objective. Whether that's true or not, it's the perception. So for instance, when I used to be an evaluator at a science museum, we would get these grants from the NIH. And if they were under a certain level, you had to have evaluation, but it could be internal. If they were over a certain dollar level, the federal government doesn't trust you to evaluate it yourself. They want you to have an external evaluator come in because it's much more powerful than somebody patting themselves on the back and saying, yes, we did a great job. So I would say that having HERC as an external entity would provide evaluation that would, I don't want to say count more for your stakeholders, but have that perception that it is more objective, less subjective, less sort of self-congratulatory. So I think that would be preferable for those reasons. But that being said, I understand if that's the direction you want to explore, I'm willing to explore that.
I just was wondering about it.
Yes.
Because I don't want to presume anything.
Yeah,
I want to hear it from you. And when I first had this conversation with Chris a couple of months ago, when this first came up, I thought, okay, option one, we do nothing. Option two is we give them a grant.
Right.
Option three, we give them a contractual agreement. And option four is we reincorporate it into
Right.
the healthcare district. Those are the four likely alternatives. So I just wanted to find out from you
Yeah.
whether that was actually one of the ones or not.
I think so. Obviously, at that point, I need to have my board involved about dissolving the nonprofit entirely. So
How much runtime do you have left, like working capital?
well, it's been about a month of running capital for about the last 4 or 5 months because we do keep bringing in funds.
So it just kind of comes and goes out, just to cover salaries.
Yep. We did get a couple of contracts signed this month that are exciting. So again, we have about a month every month, but it's tight.
So,
I would not wish this on anyone.
Working capital. Difficulties.
Follow up.
Sure.
Yes, please.
So the health survey
Mhm.
that you all do, I'm just curious, from the standpoint of how you're talking about staying as an external entity, objectivity, the rest of it. If all of these or any combination, of what you're proposing from the partnership with the healthcare district moving forward, really in line with our fourth pillar. Do you think that there would be, because I know you all are collecting data and presenting a report, but from the standpoint of the healthcare district, a lot of how we'll be able to determine over coming years if we are, doing what we say we're going to do and being a healthcare amplifier, maybe, judged against that report, for lack of a way, a better way to put that. So again, like if any kind of combination of this, if you were doing this for the healthcare district, would that impact, the objectivity or the perception of it for a healthcare report that you're preparing that could potentially, we don't know one way or the other, but
Right.
say back to us like, yeah, it's not working, because then that would.
Yeah, again, that's something where I think it would be an asset to still be an external entity. The other funders of the survey, well, nobody funds it as much as I would like, or as much as they used to. I think by having other funders and who have other pet topics would negate that sort of feedback. So we always ask, for the survey topics, like what topics are important to you? And I could easily see adding some in for your new pillars. But at the same time, like this time around, Eisenhower, who's one of our larger contributors, said, we want more questions on HPV. That doesn't necessarily align super well with your priorities, but by making it still very community driven, community funded, and community owned, I think that would negate that problem. If Hark was to be subsumed under the district and you were to do it all on your own, I think, we'd have to take a lot of very careful steps to make sure that the data would still be comparable. But the measurement can't really be, because it's a random sample, it wouldn't be influenced by who owns it as much.
Okay, that makes sense.
As long as you maintain the integrity of the methods.
And second question is about a dashboard. So you're probably familiar with HMIS, now Clarity, used to be HMIS, Donna would be familiar with that. So we're talking about a little bit about a dashboard here, and I think you do have something in here about, potentially assisting us with creating dashboards and developing systems and whatnot. And hearing yourself is weird. But that's what we used to use, right? All the organizations, you didn't actually have to be a grantee of the county to put your data into Clarity, but it really helped,
Right.
Across the board, because we could run reports, not just for our organization. We couldn't get client confidential information, right? But we could get an idea, of how many veterans are being helped, how many seniors are being helped, how many veterans that are seniors are being
Right.
helped, all that. So is that what you envision from the standpoint of a dashboard? And what is your capacity as an organization to do that? Like, would the healthcare district have a form of Clarity that we would be using for our grantees so that we could have a uniform way for everybody to input their data? Something along those lines.
That is a wonderful question and it bears a lot more conversation than this.
Sure.
So for instance, that's one of our products that we just submitted a proposal to True Evolution because they have their housing program and they have their new LGBTQ Inland Empire Center and they have their, counseling services.
Mhm.
And it's interesting, right? Because some of them are in, especially the HIV testing stuff, has to be in various federal databases. And some of them have to be in multiple, like your HIV testing data has to be in the ARIES database if they tested positive, et cetera.
Mhm.
So it would depend on what data we were talking about, right? And as you know, the homelessness data has to be in a different data set, et cetera. So it's depend on that. I would say probably it would be best to create something like Power BI that could take data from the disparate data sets into a single dashboard with individual user permissions in terms of privacy so that we're not violating HIPAA, there's no PHI being shared, but you can take that data from the different already existing mandated reporting and put it together in one single dashboard that brings it all together. And that being said, it will also depend on, I know you've got some a new website here and new softwares, and so it would depend on that. So definitely something that's a conversation, but yes, that's something we can customize and develop for you.
So this is kind of to you, but also to Chris. What you're proposing, a user agreement, is there actually enough work to be generated to actually make a difference to you financially? And how long would that, you're saying like transition to be able to help if, when we get started? Because my understanding is that having evaluation be not only as a side thing, but as embedded into our organizational, how we do things. So my question is there enough revenue to generate, to help you financially? and that it's of value to the district at this time. And so first to you and.
So there's not enough for for the district to be our only client. I don't think so. Again, I haven't had all of the great stuff that Samhain has been creating. I'm sure that will give a different perspective. But my instinct is there's not enough for the district to be our only client, but the district isn't our only client. I think there's enough for it to be meaningful, sustained part of our income stream.
So that's the question that I was meaning to ask. So sorry for the misunderstanding. Is that what you're proposing now, the user agreements that you're proposing? Is there enough work there to actually help you through this funding
I
process?
think so. But again, I need to get my hands on all of the documents and all of the potential tasks that we could support with, but I think so.
And so now I'll ask the question of the value. Do you think there's enough there? I guess to you and Donna, because both your our grants guru and everything. Is there enough there that we could actually be billed to actually give them work at this time? For the next 6 months, 9 months, what do you propose?
The data part is way
That
out
is
there
what-
still. I mean, we haven't even decided what kind of grant management system we're gonna get, how we're gonna be doing the funding, split up financing, if, we get the $100 million where we're going. I mean, it's all up in the air. I mean, we're relying on Selwyn to help us with. They've got a different view of what we should be looking for data wise. I think, I don't want to speak for them, but they're walking us down a path that possibly there could be an opportunity for Mark to be a partner, but.
So for the next 6 months, 9 months, it probably is not. I don't think
It's
we can-
certainly, yeah, kind of like what we talked at the board meeting the other night, that, some of this isn't going to be for several months. I mean, we.
At the earliest.
At the earliest, yeah, because, we still need to be looking at recruiting people, hiring for the position, which,
Can help.
Art can assist with, et cetera, but, it's not like we can just flip a switch and provide. I wish we could, but I wish there was more timing with it.
I would say that your community engagement report was saying that nonprofits and other organizations need evaluation help now. And so doing professional development and getting them ready so that when your grants do open back up, these are not scary, unfamiliar concepts.
We also have the new continued partnership with NPO Centric, which also does help with grant management, help with grant evaluation. We offer that. We pay for it. We offer it to any grantee that needs that information. Wants help for the capacity building.
So I'm sure this is probably not new to you. You probably have heard some of these. I hope that there's been an opportunity to have converse and I wanted to hear it from them, whether it was actually going to be a benefit to the district if there was. Now you need the help right now. That maybe not in June or July if you're able to get this grant, but you need the help now. And I wanted to hear from our team whether there was work to be had right now.
If there was, if they add, we would shift the whole process and like with any consultant and go out for an RFP.
Which we've won RFPs for the district before to do this work. I think I won't, again, Samhain is doing some great stuff right now, but I cannot overemphasize how important it is to have the data piece worked out sooner rather than later.
Well, I think that's one of the things that has been stated more than once during our sessions with Soen, that we can't really successfully move forward with the other pillars without making sure that this one has a solid foundation and we know what's happening here before I mean, I'm pretty sure I recall that being, okay, I got a head shake.
Yeah.
So that's what was stated. And so I think there's something to be said, because we are talking about a few months out, but also, that conversation has to be being had now and as we move forward to see what that even looks like. But it's still very much, at the front end of what we're doing, not
Yes.
at the back end.
Yeah.
So for what that's worth.
So could it be, just trying to figure it out, just an idea, okay? Could it be that we could come into a temporary agreement where you are coming on as the healthcare district's evaluation lead, but that this would transition out? Because what Director Smith has just said is that we have been told that this has to be happening now. To happen, may have it be that you're creating system, you're creating processes that would then be recruiting a director later on that would be able to build on it, that could then develop that branch that is going to be leaning heavily, and we're gonna be leaning heavily on it. But
Yes,
that-
that is how I.
We haven't even defined the tactics yet.
Yeah.
We don't even know what we're gonna be
Yeah.
looking for.
Right. This has been good information though. I mean, it gives us a lot to think about. I appreciate what Heart does in the community. So we just need to think, I mean, it's just, we're in a weird spot here because we're in the middle of still getting through strategic planning with data being a big component. So I think, unless there's any other comments on this, I think we need to take this, into another meeting, spend some time with staff, figuring out how we do this.
Well, I think the key thing being was that we were going to talk about different ideas, learn information, not make a decision.
Right.
But just learn, ask a lot of what if questions to be able to find out, because we don't have this opportunity to do it any other time. So
That's right.
having
That's right.
Jenna here and having our people here being able to ask those what if questions, and I'm not saying, let's do it, I'm just saying, what do you think of this idea? And if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. But I think that the Heart is unique in the fact that the history and the importance role that they play in the community. So that's why I wanted to explore every possibility. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For this, what you prepared and for answering.
It's just, I mean, it's exactly what we needed to really look at. What's your monthly run cost?
Right now, about 50,000.
Anything else from staff? Good. We ready to move on to the next item?
Can I ask, next steps that you would like to see from me or me working with your staff
I
or?
think it's gonna depend on, someone's doing a part tonight.
Okay.
I want to hear what they have to say, and it may be someone meeting with staff to talk about everything that's going on in the strategic plan and how the data fits into that. And we know there's time sensitive things. We just have to make sure, we keep our focus on the overall strategic plan. While we hear there's a big need and we want to support that, we just got to keep
Yep.
that has to be our primary focus, unfortunately, where we are in the timing.
Yeah, and I can reach back out to you when we, have other understanding. We have tonight's meeting.
Yeah, I think-
Discussing, even with the board.
Sure.
I would hope you wouldn't leave. I would hope you will continue to listen and be able to just absorb the information that is being shared with us. There's a definitely a need for you to be as fully informed as you can. I know you wanted to leave, but it's up to you.
Do you have a budget due tomorrow?
Gotta do your thing,
Listen to it.
Listen to it. We know it works.
That's true. That's true. We do. All right. Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Want to update them on the land sale closing?
So one of the next item, just an informational item, follow up to what we brought back in September. In September, the board had approved authorizing the purchase and sale agreement for the Meiselman Land Trust, which we own, our Meiselman Land Lease, owned by the district. And I'm sorry, I mistyped it on here, the Park Imperial Community Association, for 2.6 million. So we did have that close, and at the very end of March, we received 2,295,91,620 transferred to the district account. So has officially closed and we received those funds. So that was one of the elements referenced as far as our income being up for the year. So that's nice to have that be closed. And then also it not a big task, but it's a small administrative task just in terms of that invoicing that we've had. So
What was the acquisition cost on that? You know what we bought that land for?
we didn't buy it. We were
Oh, so we were given.
yeah,
we were a benefactor of a land lease.
Got it.
And then we were receiving a mild amount of income each year,
Okay.
but there was administrative cost to it.
Good. It's nice to have that kind of cleaned off the books too. Sure.
I thought that there was going to be an additional expense after the fact. Is that, am I wrong in that?
Not
Is it-
this one.
That
I think
was
when
this
we
one?
close out the employee
That one.
retirement.
You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I'm confused. with it.
there could be some expenses there,
Okay.
but not significant.
Yeah, and this, just as a note, this, what we were getting on an annual basis, this is just about 288 years worth, so.
Yeah, just about. Yeah, yeah. So it's a very good thing for us to reappropriate those funds. All right, thank you. Grant applications, pending value. Any comments on that?
Yeah, this was just an information follow-up that we had based on the last board meeting when we were talking about, the potential for a budget increase. And so this is the same report that had been presented to the program committee, just identifying what grants, after reviewing what we had received up through that March 1st cutoff date, what grants were eligible to move forward in the due diligence process. And so this was just that update. We have just over $1 million that are potential. We have started meeting with some of the grantees to discuss it, which could involve, dollar changes on there, but as of right now, about $1 million. Is there anything else you wanted to?
No, we have met with a couple of grantees and there have been some dollar changes lowered. So,
Good. It's good.
And this is going through the program committee, right?
in May.
Yep.
Question, just really quick, sorry, Donna, on this, Martha's, expansion of the recuperative care beds. Doesn't the county usually?
IHP is paying for the beds in Indio, paying for some beds in the navigation center, but these are filling the gap that IHP will not pay for. If we choose to.
Just curious.
Pay for those beds.
Okay. Thank you.
Would they be covered by insurance after they're actually created, the beds?
The people themselves,
The recuperative, beds, because would they be covered later on? Is this kind of just a gap? Or is it?
no, IHP will just say they're going to pay for those X number of beds.
Okay.
Harry Walker extension.
Yep. So this
Till
is
September.
informational item. We extended the due date from March 31st through to September 30th with the Walker Company, just to ensure that we had enough time to finish all the specific deliverables of the agreement. There's been some changes in scheduling due to so much going on, as well as participation with the strategic plan process. And so just making sure we had enough time to get these services completed. It's already been executed. It was just brought as an information item.
Perfect. Any comments on that? The Germain Solution, we're extending their contract and adding an extra 25,000 to the top of that, I believe.
Consideration to approve addendum number 2, which would increase the current value from 50 to 75 and extend the termination date to December 31st. Because there are some additional elements related to tracking the progress of the newly awarded Intercare grant, as well as some research and study that regarding the district landscape for residency programs that we can bring back to the board as we're implementing the upcoming strategic plan.
So don't anticipate a lot of dollars on this next piece right now. It's only if coming out of the strategic plan, if the directors are wanting to, like say, learn more about like the landscape in the community regarding residency programs and to get their expertise on that. The only way I think that it would become more of a sizable dollar amount is if we are going to do a study or any kind of planning around that. But we wanted to extend it with some increased dollars because there will be some work on the roll out or as the the grant rolls out with Intercare to kind of help make sure that we're in line with that. So.
I mean, this is separate from just Intercare. This isn't
Correct.
Intercare's consultant. This is the healthcare's board's GME consultant. right?
Correct.
I see no issues with that. We did a
I
great
do
job.
have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Their contract will extend to December, but this is a fairly new program, and so I'm a little bit surprised that it would just be December.
And we'll
If
extend
needed.
the date,
Okay.
because we can do that with amendments.
Okay.
To
very
extend the
good. Thank you.
date, but I know we've had, sometimes when we presented previously, we wanted to keep those dates reasonable, and then we can come back to extend them.
Okay, thank you.
We got that break in the summer coming, which is always a time we don't meet, so I
I mean,
think,
we can extend it for an entire year if you feel.
I don't think they care about the timing. I think it's more or less just having a dollar value to bill
Yeah,
against.
and have an ability then for staff to work with them as.
Yeah, yeah, without having us need to go 2 months to approve the money.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing as Letty, because especially based off of what I recall from the presentation they gave, there are a number of,
Mhm.
goals and things that will be happening, over the course of the next year,
Correct.
2 and 3. So is there an expectation that they will be working alongside us throughout that and be the evaluator?
I
Is
think
that
so, but that's-
that we do?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
for us, yes.
I mean,
Mhm.
if you're comfortable in extending it to June of next year, we're happy to do that, then that way we don't have to come back at the end of the
I
calendar
think
year.
that would
but-
work better.
Okay.
I actually would support that change to the timing. The dollar amount I think is fine and we can keep appropriating it as necessary.
Yes.
But we should think about in the budget, how much, now that we're going to strategic planning, how much money do we want to allocate for this idea of GME exploration and support? Because it kind of fits into one of our pillars about growing, physicians and maintaining workforce. And so having a GME consultant that is well-versed is probably better than trying to hire somebody to run GME in the office. So it might be something to look at in terms of the budget going forward for the next 3, 4, 5 years until we figure out what that looks like in terms of our relationships with other programs or opening our own program. So I see a longer term relationship with a consultant. I think that longevity, seeing us through the strategic plan with someone and a ACGME partner like them makes a lot of sense.
And that was kind of like my thinking and my
I
point,
know.
that, like, are we gonna just keep bumping this every few months, or is it already kind of established, like,
We
we're
need a
gonna need you for 3 years, so would it be
Well-
normal to just kind of?
And really
Do that?
We're tiptoeing at the moment because we're not sure.
Yeah.
We've been
and
tiptoeing.
I was not sure of what the board's direction would be regarding ACGME. So that was the intent, it's just to give us that bridge window with this. It makes perfect sense to extend it to June 30 because that doesn't do any difference for us with the dollars. Those will be utilized as necessary. But then, we'll go ahead and build into the budget, some ACGME professional fees. And then that way, the committee and the board can ultimately decide if that's what they want to keep in there. But I think it's
Align with what Sowen's planning with us on strategic planning.
exactly.
I have a motion to, are we gonna addend it through June? So we can addend it through June and then this motion will be to,
And then we'll bring the revised addendum to the
all
board.
right, so I'll make a motion to approve this with the change that it gets extended through June of 27 at the $25,000.
I'll second.
Okay, all, public comments,
No public comments.
all in favor? Okay, aye. We have an annual increase for our maintenance company, Inpro. They do all the maintenance of our Las Palmas Plaza. These are funds that get passed on to the current tenants and CAM fees, so it aligns well with us increasing our CAMs probably in the next year, so go ahead, Eric.
We're just in consideration to approve the addendum number 5, which would increase the agreement for another year up through April 30th, 2027, and would include a 3% increase on their current rate up to 12,550 on a monthly basis. So
How does that compare, do you think, across the board in terms of? I know Impro does a lot of the other more extensive maintenance work for us. They do some of the capital work as well. Have they been increasing it just every year at 3%, 3%, 3%?
we've done it for the last several years as far as that, but we will note there's, a good handful of things that they end up doing that are beyond their scope. I think at some point in the near future, I'd like to redraft the scope and, put that out again just to ensure we're getting the best.
That's what I was getting at, yeah.
Right now, I think they're taking on some elements that aren't in their scope.
Okay.
And then we still see a good handful of invoices for other work that they're able to address, but that's outside of their normal monthly. More of them on an emergency basis, as we talked about sewers and, coordinating with roof repairs and different things, so.
Yeah, I think it's something we look at in a year from now.
I'll move approval.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, public comment?
Nah.
Aye. Aye.
I-
Website services that we went out for, did we go for an RFP on this? We had a couple bidders, I think.
We did, we got 3 quotes. Will is with us too, he can give us some insight, but we did get 3 quotes on it. And although the pricing part of it is kind of a flip, so
They're all, it's
so
all,
the other 2, they have higher front end costs. The monthly fees are a little bit less than what Streamline is. Streamline's $2,000 a month. However, Streamline is one of the organizations that is used by a number of the special or the healthcare districts. And there's pros and cons to any of these services, but one of the things that we have some confidence with them is because they do so many healthcare districts is they ensure that we have the compliance necessary for public agencies. And so they're, some of the feedback that we've gotten from some of the other healthcare districts, again, there's pros and cons, but they feel like it is a good website consulting or organization.
what happens if we change consultants in a few years and website? Do we own all that, or do they just shut us off from our website?
Well, do you recall, I believe we own it. We can have it transferred. It just needs to be, able to transfer over.
What does that language look like? I think that's, again, this is pretty classic website consulting agreements. You either pay for a big upfront chunk and then they pay you very little to maintain because it costs almost nothing for web server space. You don't have a lot of traffic. You're not hosting a lot. So $2,000 a month is a ton of money to spend unless they are doing some marketing for you on Google and some of that. You have ad spend in there, which I don't think I saw that. So $2,000 a month is a lot. But again, you're going to pay for some upfront development and they're going to collect that in hopes of having a long-term contract. The biggest risk is that depending on what they use to build the software and build the website, if and when you decide to go transfer it, sometimes it's like a painter taking over somebody else's painting. They're like, I'd rather just start with a blank canvas and paint what I see versus trying to catch what they saw. So we want to make sure that, when you sign up for one of these, it's kind of like a longer term relationship.
It is. Yeah.
It really kind of fits into the strategic plan of like, do you want to host data? Do you need places that people can log into? Do we need to have a place where partners can get in there and access that? So I don't know if that's been approached with Streamline or the other consultants here, that's something that they can build in if they have the capabilities for that.
If I recall, and maybe you recall, Will, too, in our conversations that they're indicating that it's fairly easy to transfer if at some date we were to transfer to another.
But my point is if they built it if they built it in a software and structured it such that you can't add other features that we need to it, then you're back to just redo it again.
Yeah, no, my understanding is that they're able to accommodate whatever changes that they can import even from what we have, is my understanding. They don't have to rebuild the whole thing.
I will say that is an issue that came up for us in conversation. about how many legacy pages that they would actually convert to their system. And they said they're fully accommodating. We can convert as many of our archive pages, legacy pages, as we want to do. So they've been very accommodating. And for example, with our current website developer, GraphTech Interactive, we actually own that content. So that is the content that the new developer would take and convert to their design and their system. And the same would happen in a couple of years if we decided to go with a new website developer.
And I know GraphTech, I think, is local to Rancho Mirage. Are they just not serving our needs?
There's been some challenges.
Okay, I mean, we have to-
Yeah,
sorry.
there's been some challenges. Plus, they're more proprietary. And so you have to go to them to do any edits. Where I do believe I understand that with Streamline, there's, we can do some things more in-house. Yeah. So, your thoughts, Alejandro?
Yeah, I think with GraphTech, it's a ticketing system that takes months.
I got it. So you have to file a ticket to follow up.
Exactly.
Okay.
And
That's all I wanted to know. And if Streamline's not that way,
Yeah.
you get the attention you need when you need it. Well, exactly. You find out we write them a check and they don't answer. But no,
And I
that's
think
good.
we're paying for the access to the service as well and responsiveness, which we hear is responsive. You know, they've got a whole team of people where GraphTech, kind of a one-man show. It's probably got a little bit of staff, mostly one man. Is that correct?
Yes, actually, Streamline said their average response time is 28 minutes, which is pretty incredible compared to what we've
28
experienced
days.
in the past.
Yeah, 28 days.
2.8 months.
In the absence of our chair, can I ask a question about how this agreement, if we were to pick Streamline, how long would it be for? 1 year or how long?
I think it's a one-year agreement.
When I saw this, I thought I would much rather go local. I would, I thought, I prefer local.
Same.
But based on what you're saying about their customer service, I think that what you had mentioned before about the fact that they're not experts in this field, but they could easily become, but what the customer service that you have experienced weighs a lot more heavy on me than you need to act on things. So I'm in favor of proceeding with a Streamline.
I would accept that as a motion.
I will move.
Okay, I'll second that. Any public comments?
No public comment.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thanks, Will, for those comments. Those were very helpful. And the ticketing system comments are important. It's like the one thing you need your IT group to do is to respond to your ticket because you know they don't answer the phone. So, member comments, anything else? Aye. Okay. I'll move to adjourn straight into the foundation